I got a call into somebody about getting some tanks. I'm waiting on a call back because they may have what we need. So we've removed the wheels and tires from the back, and I'm starting to lay out our rail for our fifth wheel to mount to. And positioning of this is kind of important, but not overly important. The truck's only going to be able to hold what it can hold, but I want to be able to have the ability to put more weight on the axle or less weight on the drive, a little more on the steer. So what we're doing is using the existing cross member mounts, which are right in this area from here to here. We're going to go ahead and bolt into that and then come back here the rest of the way. Way more bolts than we really need. It's okay. Rather have too many than not enough. So we're going to go ahead, I've marked everything and center points. So we're going to go ahead and get this back off, remove that shock and maybe the shock mount. And then we can start, drilling holes. Sometimes it's better to put painter's tape down here so you don't scratch everything up like I'm doing right now. Okay, that's one down. One cool thing about mag drills is you don't have to just use them on a truck frame. Like I have used this in places where I'll put something on another piece of steel, clamp the two together, and use it like a drill press with annular cutters. Alright, so this, because of the track bar mounts here, I gotta drill there's two layers here, so we gotta take this plug out and then drill through the inner plate. Whew. It does not want to come out. Come on, come on now. There you go. There you go, little feller. Yahtzee! A lot of times when the slugs stick like this, it's because you got crud up inside the annular cutter. So two of them go through the backer plate for the track bar or pan hard bar or whatever it is you would like to call it. That's what we're going to call it. So I'll have to get two bolts that are just a little bit longer. Actually, I think there's enough threads on these. These are 2-inch. But I don't have enough bolts, so I have to go get some more. One step forward, two steps back. That's a lot of holes for that frame, for that fifth wheel. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Ugh, whoever came up with that number. Ugh, that sucks. I don't like that at all. Picking up bolts at Tractor Supply, and look what we found here. They carry flange bolts up to 5/8. That's nice. There's only one problem. Common size, 5/8 by 2.5. $7. I buy that through the Nutta Company, is what it's called online, for about $2, $2.50. Orders after so much, ship for free. These are bolts I need for that fifth wheel. this amount of bolts right here, grade 8, 5/8, 2.5-inch long, and the rest of their lock washers and the nuts they had, and that was $94. And I can order these online from the Nutty Company for less than this, and I still have to go buy the SAE washers that I use from a different company because Tractor Supply doesn't have them. So it looks like we're ordering bolts online from now on. All right, there we go. So they're in and they're snug, but they're not tight because we're going to drill the other side, get it set up, and I got my grease in here. We'll get it set up, get it snugged, then we'll set the fifth wheel on, and we're going to put a spacer between the fifth wheel and this frame, and I'm going to paint the frame rail here with grease as well, just to help out all we can. Now this side's done. Before I go and put the fifth wheel on, I'm going to go ahead and mount my junction box back here. This is the junction box I'm going to use. I chose this one because it's actually a hard plastic, not a thin plastic, and it has all these ports. 10, I think? 10 ports. Is that right? 10, 12. 4, 8, 10, 12. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So that makes 18 terminals individual, or you can use this and tie some together. So the attraction to this, oh, and that there you can tie several together if you wanted, if you need more for whatever, like more space for ring terminals. So this is attractive to me because we have so many cables coming in, and I want to put this at an easy place to get to where we have one junction box, not several. So I think we're gonna mount it right there. That way it's easy to get to, everything comes into one place, and the lid for this is clear, you can see inside it, but it also has a felt gasket of some sort, a felt foam gasket, and it should seal up pretty good. And then I ordered separate. These are they're not waterproof, they're like a strain relief, but they'll keep out as much water as you can, and there's a gland in there, so when you put it in there and tighten it up, if you watch that opening, I can't remember if it says it goes to 3/4, but you can tighten that down quite a bit to a cable that size coming in. Actually, you can go a little bit farther, right there. That's how little of a cable that the inside rubber gland can clamp around. And when you go to put it in the box, it's not the same thread. I don't know if these are bolt thread or pipe thread, but it has a little gasket here, and we just put the nut on the inside. I tried to find something that would screw into this, and I didn't have any luck, so I figured we'd just go this way, and then we can bring our cables in and run them however we need to, and try and keep as much water out as we can. And if you have to service it or change something, these are not permanent. You know, you can back these off and pull that cable out pretty easy. It's just like a rubber sleeve in there, and it just clamps down on it. So let me get this marked out and get it mounted. We start our wiring. Oh wait, we have more wiring to do because I still have to bring the electric trailer brake wire back here and the brake signal, because we have commercial 7-pin and the brake lights are separate from the turn signal in most commercial trailers that use a round 7-pin connector. All right, start getting this mounted. I want to mount these, and I want to use these stainless steel Allen head bolts I got, but when they built this, they made these holes 1/4 inch, but they put the inserts in there, so now it doesn't work. So I'm just going to take a carbide bit from this Milwaukee M12. I just got these. I got this in a straight, and I also picked up a new stubby impact. I need to get a rubber cover for it, a protective cover. But I'm just gonna loosen this up from the top side or bottom side and pop these out. I've already got one done. It's working pretty good. And now my stainless steel bolt fits in there. I got the box mounted, and I don't want this thing to crack and break, so I put rubber between the box and the metal plate, and then the box, then rubber on top, and use a stainless steel bolt with a washer on both sides and nylock, so it'll hold it in place. And if this thing bounces around with all these cables on it, it's going to have a little bit of give, not a lot, but just enough, right? So the next thing we need to do is figure out our cabling, because one of the things about making wiring reliable is having cabling, and the right cabling that's going to be good today and tomorrow. So this is our wire that comes in, and that wire houses a left turn, right turn, marker, backup, and maybe a ground. I'm not sure if it does or doesn't. It might have a ground in there. See, I got 5, so may not have a ground. Left turn, right turn, marker, backup, and I think they bring an auxiliary line back here. Maybe not. I can't say for sure. But anyways, that's not all we need. We still need the electric brake wire for our electric trailer brakes from the controller. We have to run that. We also need a brake signal for our commercial 7-pin trailer plug, and we need a 12-volt charge line for our RV style, so we can charge the breakaway battery on the electric brake side. So we have 3 more wires we need to bring in, so we have to be mindful of that. But what I'm working on right now is the cabling that's going to come out of here and go to our lights on either side, and then we have to get our commercial 7-pin and our RV style flat blade. This will be flat, this will be round pins. So I have to get the cabling into that. So cabling choice is very important for not only longevity, but we don't have any troubles, and it can be, all the wiring can be protected as well as be neat. I removed this from a truck years ago. This is made by Truck Light. It's an all molded assembly, okay? The truck power comes in here, plugs in. You can see we got a little corrosion issue here. Brings it in here, and it splits everything off where it needs to go and makes the common splices, because you bring one wire in for marker, well, the marker needs to go to, several locations. The turn signal only goes one side to the other side, but it also comes out for a trailer plug, which is what that is. That could be a 4-pin trailer plug. So the attraction to this is not only the fact that all the wires we need are here and color coded, but it's in a really nice heavy jacket to protect it. This side, which would be the right, gives us green for our right turn. It gives us brown for the marker light. It gives us a ground. It gives us a red or a black to use as backup, and then one extra as well if we're going to run anything else like a strobe or what have you in that light set. The other side gives us a yellow for the left turn. Gives us a green again, which we don't need. We could use that for something else. But it gives us our brown for our marker, our brown for the marker, white for the ground, and then one for a backup and one for an auxiliary or, strobe or what have you. So that's pretty attractive there. And then also gives us another one coming out that we may or may not use. It's only a 4-conductor, and everything I'm doing is going to be more than 4 conductors. So I can use this one for the commercial 7-pin. And it could, because it's short enough or long enough, however you want to look at it, and I can use the other 2. Now the tendency would be to want to use this molded connector. The problem is, once I mount this on here and I run these where they need to go, if there's ever a problem in here, now I have all these splices that I have to not only bring that wire together, but I have all these splices out in the open air, and I don't want that. And there is a tendency for these things. It is common for water to get in there, and you'll see them start to swell. This one has just ever so slightly, and that may just be in the molding, but I've seen them swell where water gets in and corrosion starts expanding them. But I think what we're going to do is just use the cabling that's on here so we can create the best possible electrical system that we can make. So these are the cable cutters I use. These are made by Klein. I'll put a link in the description where you can get some. But a lot of guys will use side cuts and they just tear these things apart. This is just so easy. And this will cut huge cable. I mean, like about 1.5 inch, 1.25 diameter, somewhere around there. And it cuts it close and clean. So I get the most cable I can. So this cable is like right at the very end of the travel for the gland nut for that connector I'm putting it in, and I don't want to risk it leaking water if I can prevent it with. So I'm just going to add a layer of heat shrink tube on top of it, and that'll make it about 1/8 of an inch diameter thicker, or somewhere around there. Also protect the ends of the wires, not really a bad deal either. And then I can slide it in there, and I know it's gonna seal better. Not really necessary, I guess, but I don't want to have troubles with this. And one day this truck will go to somebody else. I'm certain of it, like all my trucks do. The other thing is the end that I fresh cut when I cut off, I use that as my termination ends where I know I'm going to solder. These are going to be heat shrink ring terminals. So the fact that they have been exposed a little bit, the condition, if there's any little bit of tarnish on the wires, it's not nearly as big a deal as it is where I'm going to solder. Isn't this cool? Now we can run these through here. And it creates a little bit more diameter. And then when I go to gas, see, it's already biting. That's great. It's doing a lot better. So then I can clamp this down and that's better. Okay, now I'll just I'll bend this. I'll make this a formed bend, and I'll zip tie it up here. I don't want this moving. I want it to be in its normal position. So now I'll just continue that for the rest of these because they're all the same diameter except for this one, which is just a little bit larger. So I'm doing the 7-pin here, and there's something that a lot of people screw up. I bought a lot of trucks and trailers over the years where there's a problem with the truck or a problem with the actual trailer wiring, and 9 times out of 10 the mistake they make is when they're looking at the diagram. Most diagrams, which I'll show you here, will give you a truck side and a pigtail side, or trailer side, and it depends on which way you're looking at that as to which side is correct. Like here you can see the right turn is at 3 o'clock, the left turn is at 9 o'clock, the marker lights are at 11, and the ground is at be 7 o'clock, and the electric brakes is at 5 o'clock with an auxiliary charge line at 1 o'clock, and then the backup could be in the middle. That's on the vehicle side, and what they're showing you here is that is as you're looking at your plug this way. When you turn the thing around this way, if you went like this and you put the green over here being your right turn, when you move it around this way, it would be your left turn. So a lot of guys screw this up, and the other thing they do a lot of times we see is they strip back their cable way too far in order to make it easier to manipulate the wires. that leaves those wires exposed. This connector, this plug, relies on this jacket and the sleeve that it goes in to compress on to help keep moisture out. So anyways, and a lot of times too, they'll strip this back way too far, and then when they go to put this all together, the bare copper touches other parts of the connector itself in here. So a lot of things to worry about. You know, orientation, make sure that, you know, the lock is at the bottom, the slide here, right in here, sits at the bottom, and you work on it this way, just like so. So another thing that I like to do is I like to bring the wire in and put the same number of conductors on either side of the screw instead of like this. When you put it like this, you're loading the screw and the washer on one side. So you have to basically clamp down and it creates a void underneath it. If you do equal on both sides, then your screw gets to tighten down evenly and it's less likely to pull out. So you saw what those 7 pins look like. They're flat blades. We refer to that as the RV style. This is a commercial style, which is usually metal and the pins are round. One nice thing about these is as the pins wear, you could take a screwdriver down the center of the pin and spread it back out and make it have a better connection again. Not too much, you don't want to break it. I scavenged this off an adapter I made a long time ago. I was towing a commercial trailer that with a truck that didn't have this plug, so I made an adapter to make it work. So now I'm just going to take all this apart and strip our wire back and keep moving forward. The diagram is completely different on this, and I'll show you that in a minute. So you can see the difference. This is what you would have in a commercial 7-pin. So we got to make sure we follow this. And of course, this is showing us the face of the actual 7-pin. So we have to be mindful of that when we're looking at our relationship to where we need to go. So it's the end of the day, and I've been at this all day, and it looks the same as when I started. I mean, I know I've made progress, but there's just so many little details to, you know, to take care of as you go, and so on and so forth, that it's going to be hard to really show anything that looks like an accomplishment. So here it is. I forgot I didn't drill holes for my mud flaps, so we had to do that, and my wife, you know, painted both of them so they would not rust. And I went ahead and put our lights in the end. I went ahead and decided I wanted to clear, because I want these to be a backup light and there'll be a marker light both, because I think it'll work well. I think it'll help because it's these are just slightly in from the tires themselves, so it won't be distracting by in the mirror, because the tire is going to stick out just ever so, just the sidewall of the tire might stick out just a little bit, but that's okay. I got all the cables run to the back. My light boxes are ready for the lights when they show up, and I got, the big accomplishment was I got my 2 7-pins wired. They're all finished. Got my cables over here. This side's done, all painted, and I have been running my cables and securing them as we go so that we don't have a bunch of stuff that we forgot later. Now I'm working on getting the original lighting harness into the box. This is the one that comes from the front of the cab, and it carries left turn, right turn, marker lights, backup lights, and a ground. That's typically what's in this. And it's really long. I don't need all that, so I'm going to cut it right here. And then we're going to have to do something different, because this is that cloth electrical tape that they wrap it in, and that's not going to be very watertight, so we got to do something a little different here. So I've cut it to length, peeled back the cloth tape, and then put one layer of heat shrink, making sure it really shrinks good and the adhesive starts to come out. You can see it here starting. And then once I'm satisfied with that, we're going to lay this back over top of it, and we're going to run another layer of heat shrink over top of that, so that we are making the outer on top and secured with the inner. And then that way we're making up that that lack of a good sealing surface, and we're going to get our seal to the outside of this instead of it being here and then water running down inside that. We don't want that either. So here's our next layer. You can see we're just going to get in over top of that tape, and that should keep it from wicking up this way. At least it'll help. Now we need to run the cable from the front to the back for all those extra lines. So the first thing we need to do is mount our equipment. So we need to mount a trailer brake controller. This is what I'm going to use. This is a Draw Tight Activator 2 made by Sequent Towing, which is Draw Tight, Hidden Hitch, and Reese. They're all the same company. So they came out with this so that you, before trucks started, come with, you know, factory brake controllers. This one, you would buy this, and you would buy the adapter that would plug into your specific truck. So they called it plug and play. There's no splices to be made. I have a bunch of these. It's not my preference. I like the Prodigy. I think that's one of the finest ones I've ever had. But I have, I don't know, 6, 8, 10 of these. I don't know. But we're just, when I sell this truck, this will go with it. So it's fine. We also need 2 circuit breakers. We need 1 circuit breaker for the actual electric brake signal, and we need 1 for the charge line. So we're going to run a 20 amp to control or be the protection for the circuit going for the electric brakes. We're going to use a 15 amp for the charge line that charges the breakaway battery and gives us accessory power on the trailer. So we need to mount this stuff in, and anytime I do this, I try and make as many connections inside and avoid outside connections as possible. So my circuit breakers, what I've decided to do, let me get some light on the subject here. There's a kick panel here, and I'm going to mount them things right here. So they'll be inside, and they'll be protected by that plastic kick panel. The kick panel comes up to about here, so it's a good amount of protection. We have to fix this too. It had their commercial locator crap on it, so I'll fix that too. But we're going to mount those in here. We'll put the brake controller inside, and we're going to bring our cable inside, and then anything we need from the outside will run back out. I know it seems redundant and seems ridiculous, but that gives us the majority of our connections inside the truck. And then anything else I'm going to add to this that I need power to the back of the truck will be in that cable and already be inside the truck cab where we want it. So now I'm going to run my cable. I've already got a grommet right here. So we're going to bring it in right through this grommet. It'll be a tight fit because that's a small grommet for what we got, but a little dish soap will take care of it. All right, so we got it in here. Got a nice big loop going up here. And they give me plenty of wire to work with. Now, we just need to come out here, and I ran it up through with the rest of the stuff here, so I need to secure it so it's not a problem. I don't want it rubbing on anything, so we'll zip tie it all the way back down through. What is this? Whenever I see something questionable, I just want to look at it just to make sure there's no issues. Is there anything we can prevent while we're here? Let me get down here and zip tie this in place. Now that is all run all the way to the back, so now we have all of our conductors that we need to come in here, so we're able to actually start terminating. We have 50 wires to deal with back here, and I know that's going to seem ridiculous, but I really feel like this is the easiest way to do it. I'm going to wait before I terminate that because I'd like to get that mounted, and we still have a few other things up in the front to take care of. I don't know if I should do it in this video or do it in the next, because I'd really like to get this finished up and then get everything bolted back on and get the fifth wheel on this thing. That's really where I was headed with this whole entire video. But I didn't want to do that, of course, because of that. But the next thing I need to do is figure out where I'm going to put that brake controller. It needs to be in such a location that it is easy to get to when you squeeze it, but not in the way. I guess I'll have to get up there. And, oh, we also have to get another air valve like this for the fifth wheel slide. So I got to get another one of them. I took that out of a Freightliner. I probably have another one. Well, I was working right along, and then I realized I should probably stop here. I'll show you what I was doing. I was starting to mount the trailer brake controller here and run the wiring across and set my circuit breakers up. And then it came to me, I realized, over the years, I've had a lot of people ask, how do we put electric trailer brakes on a medium duty truck or heavy duty truck with air brakes? And that may not seem like a big deal to a lot of people, and especially if you've done it before, but if you haven't, you don't know like what to do, because most modern day pickup trucks either have a trailer brake controller that's already integrated into the vehicle, or the previous versions were it was pre-wired and all you really had to do was buy the pigtail to plug into your truck, the brake controller, maybe a relay and a couple fuses or something, and you're done. On these trucks, there's nothing, so you basically have to start from scratch. And I want to address that because, like I said, I've had a lot of questions about it, how I do it. So I think we're going to stop this video here, and the next video we do will be based just on trailer brakes, electric trailer brakes on air brake trucks. So we can kind of isolate that because I know there's going to be a lot of questions, and I want to go over what we need, where we're going to get it, how we do it, and why, and hopefully that can help some folks. We got a lot of work done on the truck. Unfortunately, wiring is very slow to me because I like it a certain way. I feel like if I'm going to be adding wiring to this truck, I should be making my life easier, not doing things that are going to make it harder later. So I take a lot of time to do things the way I want to. Now, for those of you over the years who have asked over and over for a video of how my wife details our trucks, well, here you go. She is currently videoing this entire process on Project Overkill, from before, when it's filthy dirty, all of everything she uses, why she uses it, how she uses it, and then the end product. You will see that this truck is actually kind of tore apart pretty good. I got a lot of parts taken out of it, and quite honestly, we do that on a lot of trucks. Maybe not the same parts every time, but we take anything we can take out and we can take apart to clean, we do. Because, well, I should say she does. I take it apart, she cleans it. Because it gives us a much better end result. And this truck's going to be no different. We got a lot more stuff coming out. I also want to give you a project update on Project Hillbilly Deluxe, which is my C4500 crew cab and row conversion truck. You guys know we stretched the frame on that thing, and we're going to a factory air ride suspension out of a medium duty truck. And we're kind of stalled because we were waiting on parts, and I was gonna see if I could source them locally, and it didn't work. I was trying to save some time, big mistake. So I sent my drawings over to the guys at Northwest Indiana Fab. I sent them over. My drawings were made through SketchUp, so they're real basic, real easy for anybody to do. I sent them to Brian. Within a day's time, he took all of my drawings, turned them into DXF, SKP, I don't know, whatever the program is they need for their CNC laser and CNC press brake. Had everything ready to go, had me review them. As soon as I said, yeah, it looks right, they had me an estimate over within no time at all. In fact, the parts are already in process. So we're going to be making a trip out to Northwest Indiana Fab. We're going to meet Brian out there and probably a few of the other guys. We're going to take a tour of their place, and we're going to show you what they do and maybe what they can do for you. It doesn't matter if you're building medium heavy trucks, or if you're building smokers, or if you're building trailers or whatever. They can take anything from a napkin drawing all the way up to the current file that they use, and they can do what you need to do. I mean, it's going to be incredible. I'm excited. I can't wait to go there and see what they can do. But if we can pull it off, we're actually going to be taking and going a little bit farther, and we might go pick something else up. I don't know if I can get it all together at the same time. We'll have to see. I'd like to take this truck. I don't think I'm going to be done in time because I think my parts are going to be ready sooner than I thought. I couldn't believe how reasonable the parts were too. These guys are incredible. So if you need something, maybe you can get in touch with them. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching. I got to get back to work because this truck ain't going to wire itself, and I got a lot of work to do. We'll catch you on the next one, guys.